Hello, welcome. I am Abigail. Today I'm going to be doing a video about returning to work, my experience about returning to work with a baby who is breastfed and who contact naps, and that transition from being at home all the time with their mum, 24/7, to then having to make an attachment with a different caregiver. And I'm going to be talking about our kind of transition and how we experienced it. I found that there is a lot of pressure to be returning to work, and also a lot of people put a lot of judgment on mothers who do breastfeed and bed share and gentle parent, because a lot of the time people tell you if you have to return to work, you need to give your baby a bottle. If you want to return to work, you need to get your baby in a cot. If you want to return to work, you need to stop contact napping. And fortunately for us and our experience, that hasn't been the case. So a little bit of context. Evely is now almost 15 months old, and I went back to work in November. She was 1 in October. It isn't the job that I was in before I had her. My maternity leave ran out in April, and we decided that the best thing for us was for me to stay at home. I'd just like to add as well that if it was up to me, all finances aside, the best thing for us would be for me to stay at home with Evely. But unfortunately, financially, we're just not in that position yet. So I did have to return to work. I am really fortunate that I got to have the whole first year of Evely's life off, and I actually went on maternity leave when I was 27 weeks pregnant. So I did have a lot of time off. My whole third trimester was at home preparing for the baby, and then Evely's first year of life, I was at home with her. She is, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know, she always has been exclusively breastfed. She's been in our bed. We have bed shared since she was 8 weeks old. Before that, we just co-slept with a next to me crib. But from about 8 weeks old, she's been in our bed. She's always contact napped, and until she was 1, so until we were doing the transition and settling in for me going back to work, she'd never gone to sleep for anyone or with anyone but me. So for a whole year, for the first whole year of her life, the only way she knew how to get to sleep was by me breastfeeding and me rocking her. I went back to work in November, and it was kind of a spontaneous decision. A job opportunity come up, and I'd been kind of toying with the idea of going back to work, but I needed to find a job that was worth me being away from Evely, and that's really difficult to find. Something that was worth me giving up time with my child. But when I went for an interview, and the lady that I work for, she's so pro breastfeeding, she's so flexible with me, with working from home, and she let me pick my own hours so that I could work around childcare, and she's been so good, and she's helped that transition for me going back to work. She's really helped it. But we had a 2-week period from when I got the job to when I started work, and literally as soon as I got confirmation that I was going to get a start date, starting back to work, we then started transitioning Evely to being with other people, getting looked after by somebody else. I'm not going to go into depth of where she is, what childcare she's at, and who looks after her, just because I don't think it's something that I should be putting out onto the internet for safety reasons. But we straight away got a plan in place of where she was going to go, on what days, and we straight away started transitioning that. So it went from I think a lot of mainstream nurseries and things call it settling in sessions. So that's what we did. We started, I started going with her to where she was going to go, and then I was leaving her, and then progressively she was going to start to nap there. And the first few times where she went, she wouldn't nap. The first time I actually had to go and get her, she was down to 1 nap a day. About lunchtime, she's been on to 1 nap since about 11 months old. So she is kind of a low sleep needs child anyway. No, a lot of people say that caregivers, so the person who's going to be looking after her, who isn't me when I'm at work, people who are going to be looking after her, they will find their own way to put her to sleep. But she is a child who likes consistency, and she likes, you know, she goes to sleep a certain way at a certain time every day with me, and I wanted to keep that as normal as possible for her with the other person. So I'm not going to lie, the transition was a little bit difficult. She wasn't upset or sad when she was there. She was completely fine. You know, really enjoyed interacting with other people. You know, there's different toys to play with. She really enjoyed that. But when she was at home, her sleep at night was affected massively, which I was expecting anyway. And her behaviour slightly changed. So she's been struggling with her emotions more, and I think she's going through it. The age that she's at anyway is an age where, you know, her understanding is really good, but her speech isn't in line with her understanding, so she can't talk and verbalise when she wants to do something or when she doesn't like something, and that comes out in her behaviour and her actions. So that was all going on, and then on top of that, she had lots of changes going on with me returning to work. So at home, we kept her routine the same, like feeding to sleep and rocking to sleep when she needed it, and the bath time was the same, dinner time at home was the same. I just like to say that the days off was exactly the same as well. So I still breastfed her to sleep on my days off. Obviously she couldn't be breastfed to sleep when I wasn't there. At the start, I did express some breast milk to send with her. However, after a couple of weeks, she wasn't really drinking it. It wasn't really worth it. She'd never drank out of a bottle, and I was expressing breast milk to give her it in her cup. I didn't want to introduce the bottle now, and because she's never had a bottle, she doesn't associate. She associates the sucking and comfort feeding whilst going to sleep rather than the actual milk. So it wasn't that she needed the milk because she was hungry before she went to sleep. She needs it for comfort. So it wasn't worth me expressing. And, you know, I go to work in the morning and she's there for 6 hours. So she goes 6 hours. I breastfeed her in the morning as normal. She has breakfast here, and then for the 6 hours that I'm not with her and she's, you know, with her other caregivers, she then doesn't have breast milk all day. I think that's important to mention, because a lot of people, myself included, was like, how am I going to feed my baby when I'm not with them? She's not a baby anymore, she is a toddler, but you know, it's still a massive transition from them being able to breastfeed whenever they want, day and night, to then having to restrict in that because you're not there. But she transitioned really well with that, and when she's at home, the weekends on my days off, she still feeds like she did before whenever she wants, all day and night. I didn't really see a change in that. The only change I seen was that when she come back from her caregiver, when I'd finished work, she fed the first thing she wants. As soon as we walk through the door, she's pulling at my top and saying boo, 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 which is boobies. So of course, and then she has a big feed. But apart from that, breastfeeding wise, the transition's been really good. What I found more difficult and what I was worried about more was her sleep, because like I've mentioned, she wouldn't go to sleep for anyone else, not her dad, you know, my mum, my partner's mum. She just wouldn't, before I went back to work, she just wouldn't do it. She wouldn't go to sleep in a pram, she doesn't go to sleep in the car. The only way she'd go to sleep is being rocked, being breastfed to sleep, or in a baby carrier on my back. That was my biggest concern, was her transition between that. And also that the majority of the time we contact napped at home as well, and obviously we bed share at night, so I know a lot of people would much prefer to be able to put her down when she's asleep. It's not very practical for some situations, and also it's not safe for everyone. So if somebody smokes, who's looking after her? It's not safe for Everly to contact nap on them. Just kind of followed her lead with that. So like I said, the first few times she didn't sleep. And I remember so clearly the first time that she napped. It was still during that transition period, so I hadn't quite started work at my new job yet, and I got a message to say that they'd been able to get Everly down for a sleep, and that was just such a weight lifted off my shoulders, because I just didn't think we were ever going to get to that point. And actually within them 2 weeks she'd done it, so I thought it was going to take a long time and that it would really distress her, but children adapt so well. And because she has always felt safe and had a really, really good attachment with me as her primary caregiver, I've always responded to her needs. I've always, you know, practiced responsive parenting and gentle parenting. I always understand her emotions, although it can be quite difficult at times. But because I've always done that, she's always felt safe enough that it's okay. Like, she's more than confident to go and build another relationship with another caregiver, because she's never been given a reason not to trust people, which is amazing. Another thing I was concerned about with regards to sleep was that after half an hour during her nap, she always wakes up, and even if she's at home, if she's out, and I always have to resettle her after that half an hour, just because that's when her sleep cycle ends. And that's kind of a thing we're still working through. So when she's at home, she wakes up after half an hour, I can settle her straight back to sleep. However, when I'm at work, she's with other caregivers, that's when what she finds a little bit more tricky is that she has to be resettled back to sleep. She realizes again that it's not me. Sometimes she does root for a boob. She doesn't, so at the minute she isn't really sleeping for longer than half an hour when she's not with me, which isn't ideal. She can be a little bit grumpy when she comes home, but we just have to really keep her busy when we're at home. Lots of quiet time, lots of downtime as well. Give her what she needs. Sometimes we have to adjust the bedtime to come forward a little bit, but occasionally she will be able to be resettled. I think it depends on how tired she is, what the circumstances are, you know, who else is there, what the environment is like. But that is something that they're working through at the minute, which, do you know what, I'm more than happy for her to even sleep for half an hour without me. A child that was exclusively breastfed, contact napped, and my AI, she gets rocked to sleep and then they put her down, so she doesn't contact nap where she is at the minute. So for her to even sleep for half an hour is such a big step, and I'm more than happy with that. If she doesn't sleep for more than half an hour in the day, that's absolutely fine. And you know, it's something that will come over time. With age as well, she'll be able to link her sleep cycles more, so she might not even need to wake up and be resettled. Over time and age, that will develop, and her sleep cycles will become longer. Last thing I just wanted to mention about returning to work is kind of how I felt. So I really, really struggled. I think because, you know, the way I parent, the bond and relationship between me and Everly is the most important thing, regardless of anything else. You know, everything else has taken a step back. You know, obviously like moderation, but that is my prime focus every day, every night. And to go from being with her every single minute of every single day and night, you know, to then having to be separated from her. Before I went back to work, I'd never been away from her for more than an hour. Obviously she's never napped anywhere else. For me, it was like losing my right arm. So after a whole year of that, it was quite a big transition for me. And I do still struggle. I do feel a lot of guilt with being back to work, which I shouldn't, because I know she's absolutely fine, and I can make up for the time, you know, at night. Sleep next to each other, and the amount of hours that I do isn't even a day's worth in a week. So, you know, on the grand scale of things, we're together a lot of the time. To, you know, that day isn't going to ruin or destroy or impact our relationship and bond. So the idea of somebody else looking after my child when that is my job is really hard for me to come around to. But like I said, unfortunately, we're not in the position that I can stay home with her. And, you know, she's getting really good experiences and with other people and doing activities that we wouldn't necessarily do when we're at home. She also spends a lot of time outside where she is now, which is amazing. That was, you know, what I really wanted from where she is that she spends a lot of time outside. And it also makes me value our time together a little bit more, because I'm not taking it for advantage quite as much, because I really look forward to coming home at the end of the day and, you know, breastfeeding her and having a cuddle with her and putting her to sleep and getting into bed at night and snuggling up to her. I really enjoy doing that, and it's something that I really look forward to doing. So yeah, it's been a big transition, but I wanted to make this video because I couldn't find a video or advice from anyone that had returned to work after breastfeeding and bed sharing and co-sleeping and contact napping and baby wearing, because a lot of the time people tell you are never going to be able to, you know, they never sleep, they're never going to sleep on their own, they're never going to feed, they're never going to stop breastfeeding from you, they're always going to need you, they're never going to be independent. And I've made this video to say that is utter rubbish. Mine and my daughter's relationship is walking proof that you can do both. Like I said, I'd ideally like to be at home with her, but unfortunately I can't. So this is the circumstances that we're in right now. Yeah. So that's our experience on me returning back to work with an high-need breastfeeding, bed-sharing toddler. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe if you are new. Give my video a thumbs up. If you have any video suggestions, whether it's regards to gentle and attachment parenting, like these kind of videos, breastfeeding, or if it's kind of vlogs and day in the lives, please do let me know. We are going through a lot at the minute. We are currently moving house, so I can't promise that the next video is going to be immediate, but when we're in our new house, I do have some video ideas that I want to do. So thank you again, and I'll see you again soon.